It's Shelby here, co-founder of WE&Company, and for this WE&Co Wednesday, we have a little note that we'd like to share with you. It's hard to believe we are more than halfway through the year. 2024 seems to be flying by, and if your family is anything like ours, you may be getting your grocery list together, your grills ready, and fireworks at hand to prepare for this year's 4th of July celebration. In our family, it's simply family reunion time. With all that is going on in our world, being with those you love is so life-giving. We have a saying that we sing in our family. We're thankful to get together just one more time. Because we understand how fleeting these moments of celebration and communion can be, so we don't take them for granted. As a community, we have been busy capturing these moments, helping to preserve legacies, sharing stories of survival, and capturing moments that build and grow our community. But as a family, we've navigated some profound losses this year that made us take a step back and simply be. We've been healing, taking each day moment by moment. During this time, we were reminded of why we started this company in the first place and who we started it for. It was for you, and you, and you, and so many others. While we all have our own unique stories, our stories are what continues to bring us together, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to tell it. So this is just your reminder that there is power in your story, and someone is waiting to hear what you have to say. Mic check 1 2 1 2 1 2. Hello, hello, hello.
It is because of the way I am. So, it's been a while.
Can you change the quality so it's not 720? Okay, we're back now.
Okay. Take what, 3, 4, 5.
Wait, should we play the? How should we do that?
Oh, what? You trying to start complete? You want to play from the top?
Oh,
Yeah, I
just
say you
roll
just
with
go
it?
with it. You know,
Okay.
we just not have a dozen folks on. All right, how we we should definitely be able to hear each other now.
Yeah, I can hear something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. We are back again. You know, no good show has zero flaws, and we're no exception. But it is good to be back. Generally, it is good to be back, and hopefully next week will be even smoother. But we were talking about where we've been and what we've been doing, and all the changes that have happened to us since the last time we came to you live, which was March, maybe at this point.
Yeah, it's been
It's been a while, but I want to say thank you for everybody who has been sticking around, and we see all your messages on Instagram, and we love talking to people when we're out in the city. So now we're just happy to be back here in our virtual space and talking to you about what's new and what's going on in the world. So where do we want to start? A couple of things we want to talk about today.
I mean, other than I'm really again, I was mentioning. I don't know. Well, yeah, I didn't hear it, but I was just mentioning how I'm really happy for us to be back after being away for so much time, and I was really looking forward to this today. So we're here. It was a little bumpy, but
you know what we were, Shelby? You know what we were?
what?
Resilient.
Oh, okay.
We were resilient, which was our word of the week if you're following us on Instagram. And if you're watching this, you probably are following us on Instagram. But our word of the week was resilient, and that was for so many reasons. It's very appropriate today. But we have definitely had to be resilient since the time we started this business, but especially over these last few months. Had the loss of one of our nephews who was very, very close to us, and that was really hard, guys. That was really, really hard. But we also knew that we couldn't stop. We also knew that there was all these people's whose stories wouldn't be told if we weren't there to tell them. And honestly, it was also very therapeutic for us to be able to still do the work that we do, to still show love and compassion to other people, even when we're feeling a little hurt. And then getting it back has been just everything. So
Yeah,
very grateful.
Yes, resilience has definitely been something we've been kind of grounded on, and like Jordan said, that was our word of the week that we wanted to talk more with you all about later. But I think that as we're continuing to build this, and just as entrepreneurs, as creatives, one thing I learned from one of my other friends who's also has their own business is how, some things just don't stop. Some things have to keep going, have to keep moving. And especially during time of transition and during time of what I like to call profound change, you have to, the energy I think we did have, went towards maintaining where we were, but also keeping things rolling, because at the end of the day, there are so many stories that need to be told. And we're also just very grateful and thankful to our community for, trusting us with these stories, and, us still being able to show up and do what needs to be done has been a learning experience. And I always like to say I would rather work hard this for us than, for
someone else. So.
Oh yeah. Life's going to throw some stresses at you one way or another. So if we're going to do something, it's got to be something that feels worthwhile, and this feels worthwhile. I'm realizing that I think I did a quick recap early on of kind of what we've been doing and what's changed in the company since, but I don't know that people could hear us back then. So
no.
Just going to do that again. So since you've seen us, we have been able to do a few different projects. Definitely brought in some new people into the team. We actually have 2 of our interns with us right now, helping
Brandon and
us.
Daniel.
Shout out to Brandon and Daniel. Thank you so much. Brandon's working the camera.
And Thierry. He's just not here.
And Thierry. He's not here, but he was here earlier. But they have been a huge asset and doing a great job, and very, very excited to have them part of the team. Shout out to the Mix for the program that they run, the workforce development program that they run. So very, very grateful to them as well. We've done videos with CAP and DVS. I think we'll talk a little about that more later. What else has been going on since we've been gone?
A lot. A lot of things with bringing interns interns on board, doing some projects in the community. It's been quite a few. It's been a whirlwind, but we're happy to get into our story of the week, actually.
Ooh.
So Jordan was talking about some of the different projects we've done over the last few months. And, one of our big things that we do at WE&Company is we partner with a lot of nonprofit organizations. And one of the main goals is to either, raise awareness for a cause, raise funds for a cause, or just to highlight someone, to empower them or uplift them, tell their story. And we love when it's just a beautiful mix of everything. And so a few months ago, CAP, Community Action Partnership, reached out to us for their luncheon that they were putting together. And they wanted to not only highlight the story of a domestic violence survivor, but also the services that they provide through their domestic violence legal services. And we were really excited to get working on the project. But before we talk too much about all of it, is there anything you want to share before we play?
With Kat?
Yeah.
It's the one reason I love what we do is we get to work with so many different organizations in all their different capacities. So I had known of Kat before this, obviously, but I didn't know about the breadth of services that they provide. And they are definitely one of those organizations in a city that makes it worth living in, that makes you feel seen and heard and cared about. So being able to help them with this video and hopefully being able to help them get their mission and their message out to a broader audience, to people who really need to know about those services. And definitely with this video that we did with them is one of those where if you need to know it, you need to know it. Mm-hmm. So no, I'm really grateful that we got to do that with them. I hope it's going to make a difference in a lot of people's lives. But no, that's all I got. We'll talk more about it.
Yeah, we'll share it with you and we'll do a little recap afterwards. So here is Community Action Partnerships, Domestic Violence Legal Services video.
Our goal is to move clients from being victims to survivors, and that is not an easy task. Here at the Legal Center, we provide services such as options counseling, safety planning, PFA filings, consultations for divorce, custody. We also have attorneys that do representation in many different areas of the civil process. And we also have an attorney that actually helps victims of sexual assault. Some of the barriers that our survivors face is not understanding the legal system. And oftentimes the legalese can be intimidating for them. So we help them break it down, and we also provide them with the ability to feel confident in what it is that they're doing by providing them the advocacy, by speaking life into the survivors. Without having the supports necessary, a lot of our survivors would probably stay home and continue to be victims of domestic violence if they make it out alive. There are so many testimonials that I can share, but for me, what brings me joy is when someone feels like they have been able to share their story, when that light bulb goes on, when they achieve what it is that they want to achieve, not just through the legal system, but also being able to find that temporary housing, or even being supported in finding permanent housing. The counseling services, the gratitude that they show is amazing. It just makes me feel like I serve a purpose. So I'm proud of the work that we do. I'm proud of the people that are here, that are passionate about what it is that they do, and how we can all work together to be able to provide survivors with the supports that they need to understand that there is a way out.
Well, we hope you enjoyed the video. That was Delia Sanchez, and we had a great time working with her. So even as a part of our process, before we even tell anyone's story, we always meet with them first. We really wanted to make sure we had a good understanding of the scope of work, the scope of services that they offer, and ultimately why they do what they do. And Delia was so passionate about the work that she does. It's something that's very close to home. When she even shared with us, these are how many cases I get a day. These are the stories that have come through these doors. It was, we knew we had to handle it with care. And we do want to add too, like, this was a two-part, really a two-part process. We also got to interview a survivor as well and gather her story. So we were even able to ask throughout our process of, how should we approach this? Is there things that are off limits? Because not everyone's always ready to share their story, but once somebody steps into that space, it's just always a beautiful thing. And I find it as a courageous thing to do. But we were able to learn a lot throughout this process as well. Not just about the services that are offered, but this domestic violence impacts so many people, not just here in Lancaster County, all over. I mean, it's a worldwide issue. Oh, yeah. But to know, hey, this is what's here in my community. Like, there is a support system here that will help. I mean, it's helped a lot.
Yeah, it's listening and meeting Delia and just getting to learn more about why she does what she does was, Shelby's right, just so impactful. I mean, they get over a dozen filings or people reaching out to them for help a day. And that's just here in Lancaster County. I remember when she was telling us the overall number of how many people are impacted or how many people they help each year. It definitely surprised me. I mean, I thought that would have been on a much broader scale, like in statewide, and that's just Lancaster County. And but even when she said it herself, I think it's one of those things where when you're doing the work, you don't really get to step back and see the breadth of work that you've done and how much you've done. So I can remember when she did tell us, when she figured out the number for herself, and just the realization on her own face and her own realization.
She was like,
of
this
the
is
impact
me
she's
alone.
made.
Yeah.
Right.
Not speaking for
Everybody
everyone else
else in
there.
there.
Yeah.
Like it's hard work, to do that type of work is hard work. But when we got to interview the survivor after Delia, you see why they do it, because it is not easy. I mean, the type of trauma they're talking about, the different dynamics that come into play, from children being involved to houses to just it's your whole life that can be impacted by something like this. And CAP and DVS help survivors through the entire thing. Like, it's not just help you get out and get support, or get out and get a house, but it's, yeah, okay, how are you doing childcare? Or what are you doing for your own mental well-being, for your own emotions? How are you feeling today? And even for some of the survivor we interviewed who's gone through this process, who's been through probably one of the harder parts of the process, she tells us, I still get support. I still get calls from DVS. They still come with me to court hearings. And this has been a years-long process. So just being in that space and learning a little bit about the types of things people go through was definitely eye-opening. But then hearing what DVS with CAP does for these people, how they fill that gap in the community to be that supportive service, is one of those things that really encourages in this world. I feel like we're all a lot of the times very discouraged about what's going on in the world, and we see all the bad things going on around us, and we wonder, man, are we getting better? Is everything going to be okay? And it's easy to fall kind of into that narrative. Oh no, everything's going to hell in a handbasket. But then you meet people like Delia, and you learn about organizations like DVS and CAP, or the Y, or any number of community services, and you realize, and I truly believe this, there is more of us who are doing good in the world, who are putting good out in the world, than wanting bad for the world.
Yeah.
And that's just so encouraging for me, because life is hard. Life is hard, and it's nice to know you have people, to know that there's people out there who genuinely care about you, who genuinely care about your well-being, even if they've never met you before. So yeah, definitely was just a great experience to get to work with them.
Yeah. And I think as well, like we say eye-opening, but really, I mean, I've had people in my family that have been in domestic violence relationships. My mother is a survivor. My grandmother is a survivor. And I remember my mom having conversations with me about when she decided to leave, when she had enough, or the help and support and everything that she needed. And even during this process, I remember calling my Nana and telling, because she's always asking, like, how's the business going? What are you doing? Are you working on any cool projects? And I told her how, right now we're actually working with domestic violence survivors, and how we're helping to tell their stories and all that. And she was like, you know what, that's really good. Because she's like, back in my time, like these services didn't exist. There was no that support wasn't there. I didn't know where to go or who to turn to. And she shared more of her story and experience with me that she hadn't necessarily done before. So it really kind of made the opportunity for us to talk about it just a little deeper. And she was just saying, she's like, this is going to help so many people that are in these situations. And she was like, this was in the, I guess, I don't know what, 60s, 70s, when she decided to leave. And she told me what that was like, and when she made the decision to, and how it's, sometimes it doesn't always seem like you can. So to know that you have a community behind you really means the world. So I just felt very honored that we were able to tell these stories, and I felt very grateful that we were able to do it through this avenue. But ultimately, the hope is that you see this video, and if you know someone who is struggling in a situation, a gentle nudge, because a lot of times people are saying, hey, I have this friend who's going through this. How can I help? Or what is it that I can do? And other than being there for them, being a support in whichever way, and letting them know, hey, this is available to you. can make a world of a difference. So this was one we're really proud of. I know, again, we talk about Lisa's story, who was a survivor. We definitely want to share that one with you soon as well. But today we were just focusing on the DBS services. So again, thank you to Community Action Partnership for trusting us to tell y'all story. We do not take it for granted.
Absolutely. But yeah, let's talk about kind of what we've been going through over this last week. So I know we talked about our word of the week, which was resilient. Today is WE&Co Wednesday, so we get together. Our BTS Tuesday. Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah, so why don't we start from Monday?
You want to start from Monday?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's always easier to work our way down. So before we took a little pause, we were doing our weekly content, right? So on Mondays, we do our word of the day. Tuesdays, BTS Tuesdays, Wednesday, WE&Co Wednesday, Thursday, Throwback Thursday, and Fridays, Free Write Friday. So this past Monday, like Jordan had mentioned, our word earlier in the day was resilience. And every Monday, we put out a word just to reflect on. It could be even just like it says, your word of the day. And we always ask people, hey, like share a brief story of what that looks like, what it means to you, or someone you know that's resilient. So I guess I would ask you, do you have a story or a person that comes to mind when you think of resilience?
Oof, a story or person that comes to mind. That's a good question. I mean, shoot, us. But gosh, it's hard to even just pick one person. I feel like resilience has played such a role throughout just my entire life. So I automatically think of my mom and my dad, who had to raise 3 boys and a girl, plus numerous godchildren. And sometimes we did it with a lot of money, and then sometimes we did it with no money. And, sometimes you got lights on, and sometimes, you just stay close and you stay warm. Actually, yeah, I can share this. During the height of the recession back in 2008, 2009, it was just a rough time. It was a rough time. My father was in the mortgage industry, and anybody who lived through that time knows the whole mortgage industry got destroyed. So his company shut down, and my mom was a teacher, and anybody who knows teachers know we can't live without them, but they don't get paid anything. Fix that. I'm going to always advocate for that. Teachers should be upheld and uplifted, and definitely should be paid fairly. But there was definitely a time when we didn't even have like heat in our house, when we may have had running water, but half the time it just ran back in the house. And most people don't even know this from that time, but we were just not even living paycheck to paycheck. We're just living hand to mouth. What can we get? I mean, my dad was working on his hands and knees, quite literally. My mom was holding down 2 jobs, and it was a really hard time. But we really leaned on each other. I think a lot of people probably would have grown apart or fought through it, or not being able to ever recover from it. But we were able to recover after a lot of work. And that time of life definitely taught me about resiliency, because it was a very challenging time in life. But oftentimes when I'm going through things now, when things feel impossible, I just think about the time when I had to carry water. I had to boil water in a pot and carry it to the shower because hot water just wasn't working. Or going to people's houses for dinner because, we just didn't have any dinner. And thank God we had a good community supporting us. It was tough. It was definitely tough, but going through it and learning from it, it has been worth it. It has given that resiliency that allows us to continue on, to know that we can get through and do hard things. So I guess just that's what comes to mind just off the top of my head. But gosh, there's so many people in this community have been resilient, who've had to be resilient. I mean, we all lived through COVID. So if you're watching this, you are probably resilient, whether you accept it or not, because that wasn't easy. So, but yeah, anything come to mind?
I mean, it's hard to call just like one thing, and there's so many people. Like definitely my mom, my sisters, my brothers. I mean, my siblings. I've learned a lot about resiliency through my family.